Eretz Yisrael and the war and the what seems to be almost a biblical situation in Klal Yisrael right now. Huh? Have an actual soldier with us. All right. So you can. I feel like it's a schus. I feel this with the Tanoim and the Amoraim did. They learned Halachos of Milchama. Not that anybody here is deciding anything one way or the other, for better or for worse. But also, I am truly not qualified to paskin in any kind of dinei nefashos. I'm not the chief rabbi or anything like that. I just want to learn the sugya a little bit. That's all. So if you, I told Yossi, who takes care of the videos here, that if I think of a topic to talk about and I say, well, I'm not going to put that online because, I'm going to get death threats or things like that. So then I know that's the right topic to talk about. So I'll take my chance on the threats. Usually the comments are more like, Yashka is the king. That's the usual comment. If you look at the news, sort of the main sugya in the news is this idea of killing innocent civilians. That you can't just, how far can you go, and babies being killed. So I'm not here to comment on the news. Just in order for me to talk, I just want to tell you what I just my opinion on this is that I think anybody in Gaza who's under 18 is called a child, like almost every place else in the world, and most of the terrorists are between 15 and 18, apparently. So what does it mean that we're not, killing children? It's not a davar pashut at all. It's also would seem obvious to me that I can't imagine any Jewish guy, maybe a Michiganer, taking a baby and shooting the baby. I mean, nobody's doing this. It's a war that's going on. And just before I came, I just did a quick Google search, which everybody knows already, but just interesting how, of course, just straight first comes right up on Google that the United States of America during World War II killed upward of 400,000 civilians. And not to talk about Japan, or dropping the bomb, 800,000 civilians. And in Vietnam, for what seems to be nothing, I lived through that, we killed 250,000 civilians. So what did they, what's the, in Iraq after the World Trade Center, after 9/11, we killed 300,000 civilians. Americans. So it seems kind of strange that anybody should be able to give mussar to the Jewish people who are so careful, it seems to be, just from watching the basic news that everybody sees, seems to be anti-Semitism on the one hand, and on the other hand, sort of like judged to a different kind of a standard. And b'chol even though it seems unfair and unreasonable, and that's not the way the world works, and that's not the way the wars work, I think we still have to be mavar the das Torah, the halacha, and this just to understand what are we supposed to. We don't look at the news to get our opinions, or to this general or to that general, or to the World Health Organization or to the UN. Looking to God, we're looking to Hashem to see what is right and what is not right, and not to kind of get carried away with the whole thing. So, there are two dinim in the Torah, and this is really what I want to bring out here. There's two dinim in the Torah which seem to refer to self-defense. Self-defense means that somebody's running after me to shoot me, I turn around, take out my gun, and I shoot them. Self-defense. However you disarm or kill the other guy, what are we supposed to do? Let him kill me? So so you kill him. So that's self-defense. What's that called in the Torah? Okay, that's one answer. What's another answer? Rodef. Same thing? That's the shir today. That's the shir today. Meaning, Haba'ah harga hashkem v'hargo is it's Torah. But it's also like a pismon in this country. Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'hargo. Even somebody never studied any Torah is able to tell you Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'hargo. It's part of the vocabulary of the Israeli. Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'hargo, which means that somebody's coming to kill you, you kill them first. That's what it means. Haba lahargacha. That's lashon. Haba lahargacha. What would hakam mean? Zal lahargacha ba. Im ba lahargacha hashkem laharga. Lashon Chazal. So im ba interesting. It's intriguing to think about the word balahargacha. So I think there's two sugyas here, and I think they're different, and I think they both have to be examined, and we have to see the differences between them. And this is possibly nogeya a nation, and possibly chas v'sholom could be nogeya an individual in these times being attacked. I saw when I was looking into this, they kept on referencing this tshuva from Reb Chaim David Halevi. He was the big Talmud Chacham, the Rav of Tel Aviv. And there's a tshuva. So I finally found that tshuva. Like, take a look what he said, but it didn't say where it said. But I finally found it. It's in Tchumen, the very first Tchumen. There's a tshuva here Reb Chaim called Din Haba Lahargacha Hashkem Laharga. I actually just saw this last night. So, but here, just the general question is that the Shoel, who was a military person, said that we have an enemy. I don't know what year this was. It doesn't say what year it was, but it tells us far in the 70s. Or the Intifada. We have an enemy. So if we have an enemy, so now there's a din. This was the questioner. Now there's a din of Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'harga. So does that mean the questioner asks, Rabbi Moimrim, many people say, so okay, you see a Palestinian guy walk into the building, shoot him. He's the enemy. Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'harga, but he's not going to kill you necessarily. No. Or let's say he waves his Hamas membership card. I'm adding this. So, or it's on his WhatsApp status or something like that. So, you allowed to kill him or not? So the questioner says here, Rabbi Omrim, that it goes into the din of Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'harga, which we'll explain. And his answer, just before I say anything else, is he answers tshuva as a nice tshuva, but at the very beginning he says, B'psichas Dvarim, I have to say this, that what you said, Rabbim Harsha Lirois B'chol Aravi Ba B'machteres, he says, you're quoting the Rabbim that says that every Aravi is a Ba B'machteres, Mipnei Shehu Shayach L'tzibur Ha'oyen Ha'isanu, because he belongs to this monstrous group. L'chein mutter ayon, by the way, Gil will help us, is an interesting Hebrew word. It's a very common word these days in the news. I don't know what the root of it is. Ayon. Yeah, but what's the root? What's the shorish? Oyen. The biblical word? I don't know. Ani, oyen, avon, I don't know what it is. Inuyim. Anyways, Mishaych L'tzibur Ha'oyeno Sanu, L'chein Mutter V'af Choyva Lachshid B'Shutamid B'chinas Haba'ah hargacha. Question, Barosh V'Rishona, I just want to get this kind of out of the way. Margish Hineni Choyva, I feel an obligation, L'histayig Ba'oifen Muchlat Mo'isa Das Rabbim. What you're quoting, the Das Rabbim, I want to have nothing to do with that Das Rabbim. Shekvodot Tziteit, Matmiya B'Yoser, and it would be a Pella, Etzem harayon hanoa lirois kach milyon v'chetzi aravim sherubam hagadol v'amachriya chayem as chayem apratim b'sheket u'b'shalva. Because if I'm looking at 1.5 million, he says, Arabs that are just farmers and builders and kind of living quietly, im kitoy kedei oyonus liYisraeli shoisahem royim kekoivesh. Even though they look at us as occupiers, So they hate us. Mishum sheyesh b'neim ke'ela, v'heim l'loy safek miut katan b'yoser. So the militant ones is obviously a minority. Hapogim banu u'boim largenu ha'im begin oisam miut katan yotzi psak din mavas al million v'chetzi b'nei adam atama. So that's his logic. You can think in your mind whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, but he's saying what he's saying, I don't know what's true, what's not true anymore, but what he's saying is that even in Gaza there are many, certainly in the West Bank, there are many different types of populations that live there, and it's a miut that want to kill us, and therefore there can't be a halacha that they're the enemy and allowed to kill them, and you're allowed to kill them, and he works this through the sugya halachically why that is. Whether that's the Metzias or not, I hope he's right.
So what, according to him, would a preemptive strike be allowed?
Milchemes mena. So that's what we really have to look at. So there's a din of Rodef, and there's a din of Haba'ah b'machteres, which Dati are two different halachas completely, even though everybody puts them in the same boat. And I'll explain to you why. Din of Rodef, the Rambam says in Hilchos Rotzeach, based on the Gemara obviously, the Rambam says two important halachas here. Hilchos Rotzeach at the very beginning, Perek Aleph, halacha vav. He says, Harodef acher chaveroi lahargai. If somebody's chasing another person to kill him, afilu haya rodef katan, even if it's a child. Harei kol Yisrael mitzuvin lahatzil hanirdaf miyad rodef afilu benafshei shel rodef. Everybody in Klal Yisrael now, if you see this happening, everybody in Klal Yisrael has an obligation to eliminate the rodef who's chasing the nirdaf. And he gives many examples of this, where this can happen, even by a moser. It could be the case. You have to. He's a active shooter, and you have to eliminate this guy, and that goes. The Gemara brings two psukim. The most famous pasuk is Leisamed al dam riacha.
Is our conversation here about?
Is what?
Is our conversation here about that you're not allowed to kill any civilians because they may not be raping or.
That's our conversation.
There is or.
Let's see what our conversation is, because I'm not sure. But my question is, a civilian, whatever that means, I don't, but a civilian, a baby is a civilian, right? So a civilian who's being, so a non-civilian, you're mixing me up. Somebody, Ruvain is being Rodef Shimon, as simple as that. I'm not going to make any distinctions here between Jew and non-Jew, because that's a different halacha altogether. We talked about it, Amalek, Shiva Amim. But Ruvain's chasing Shimon, and everybody in Klal Yisrael, of course including Shimon, has an obligation to eliminate the threat that Ruvain is posing. That Ruvain is a Rodef, Shimon is a Nirdaf. That's the din of Leisamed al dam reacha. So, the Rambam says, I'm skipping a few halachas in halacha tesvav, haroa rodef es chaveri lahargai. If you see somebody who's running after somebody else, o achar erva labala, or a rapist, v'yachol lahatzil v'loy hitzil, and you could have, so maybe there's this tendency to, walk away from it, like I'm not going to get involved, it looks dangerous, or, none of my business. So, which we find also a lot, where people, just look the other way. And he could have saved, and he didn't. Teresa bittul mitzvah essay. He's mevatel mitzvah essay, v'over al shnei lavin, and he's over 2 lavin, like he wins a jackpot here, 2 averos, and he's over 1 mitzvah essay and 2 mitzvahs leisasei. So over on all these averas for not saving him. That's the din of Rodef. Somebody's a Rodef, that's halacha. If you go back in the Rambam, in Hilchos Geneva. So here he speaks about the halacha of Baba Machteres, or this halacha that we're quoting, Haba lahargacha hashkem v'hargai. So just before we look at the Rambam, let me just the pasuk. Let's review the pasuk, which is familiar pasuk. Is in Parshas Mishpatim, Perek Chav Beis. Im b'machteres yimatzei haganov. All kinds of hilchos geneva over here of when you pay kefil, when you play arba v'chamisha. Then the Torah says, opens a new chapter. Im b'machteres yimatzei haganov, v'huka v'meis, ein loy damim. That's the pasuk. So the pasuk is talking about im b'machteres. What does machteres mean? Tunnel. Im b'machteres kishahaya choyseres habayis. He's tunneling into my territory, and he's tunneling into my territory. I'm there, so ein loy damim. So means to say, I kill him, and he has no blood. Damim doesn't mean money; it means blood, right? Ein lo damim. It's a very strange choice of language. It's archiyun. Ein lo damim.
No blood on your hands.
No, ein. Who's the lo?
Seems like
The guy who broke in ein lo damim. Not I don't have blood on my hands.
Well, because I was going to say, since he has no blood, you would have no blood on your hands.
Ein lo damim. That's the pashut of pshat. There's a das in Chazal, das miut, which says ein lo damim is that I have no blood on my hands. But the pashut of pshat in the pasuk is ein lo damim. He's like, meaning, what does that mean? Ein lo damim. So Rashi explains. We don't have to. Rashi says ein lo damim, ein zu ritzicha. It's not ritzicha at all. Why? Harehu kameis mikari. He's walking dead. He's not alive. Guy breaks into my house. He's a kleptomaniac. He breaks into my house. He's trying to get my menorah, and you kill him. You know, you see the guy breaking into your house, take out your rifle, and you kill him. So, ein lo damim, Rashi says, which is a chazal, ein zu ritzicha. This is not called ritzicha. Harehu kameis mikari. That's a dead guy walking into your house.
This is a God of Rav Dafka to kill you.
He came for money. Al-maman huba, Gemara says. Kad limadatacha Torah, and it's here that the Torah teaches you, Rashi, ibala haragcha hashkem lahargai. Okay, but he's not coming to kill me necessarily. It's a big difference. Isn't there a big difference between somebody who's breaking into your house, a gun? Just think of the unthinkable. Like, some kid breaks into your house. We have videos of people breaking into the shul on a regular basis, taking coffee. Take them out. Have the machine gun planted on the ceiling. You're dead. Say, Bala Hargacha. From here we learn what?
Said it won't happen again.
Torah. Here the Torah teaches you, Im Bala Haragcha Hashkim Larga. I just want to keep this in mind. He's not quoting the Gemara exactly, a little bit. I'll show you the difference. Why? So what's going on here? Now Rashi kind of like changes svaras here. First he says La Rochaba. But no, he's not coming La Rocha, he's coming for a moment. So Rashi says, this guy knows, there's no such thing as a person who sees somebody else breaking and entering into his house and is just going to stand by idly. So the guy who walks in knows that this is a very dangerous situation, and probably the balabayas will kill me if he sees me. Lefichach, and therefore, Almanas Kain Bosh. That's why he came. That the thief that comes in knows that there's no such thing as a person, a house, a balabayas, who's going to just stand by idly. It's connected to the. I don't know why I disconnect. Yeah. 1 second. Sorry. No, I just feel bad because there's 20 people online. You want to give it, excuse me, so give me a second. No, but you can't take care of it. I got to hook up to it, right? So there's a psychology here that Rashi's bringing us. On this, the Rambam says as follows: Echad ababa machteres is in Hilchos Geneva Periktes. Echad ababa machteres, oy ganav shenimsa. Thank you. Oy ganav shenimsa b'toich gagoy shel adam. It doesn't have to be tunneling in, like the Gemara says, even if he comes in through the roof, or b'toich chatzeroy, or b'toich karfifoy, bein bayoim, bein balayla. Lama nemar b'machteres. The reason the Torah says machteres, l'visha derech roiv haganovim lavei b'machteres, because that's the normal way for a ganav to break in, balayla, and it's usually at night. Umipnei ma, says the Rambam, hitira Torah dama shel ganav afal pi shaba aliske mamon. Here, why does the Torah say it's mutter to kill him even though he's coming for money? So here the Rambam's going to answer. So says the Rambam, because this guy who comes in, he's Rodef, acher chaveroi, lahargoi, which is what you're saying, right? So the Rambam is saying that because once this guy breaks into my house, bear with me for a minute if I interrupt your concentration. Once this guy comes into my house, so he becomes Rodef, he becomes like a Rodef, lahargoi, and therefore you could kill him. Bein shaya gadol, bein shaya katan, bein zacher, bein nekeva. Okay, so the halacha is that the guy who comes into my house, he's coming to break into my safe. But since he's coming to break into my safe, somehow or another, he's considered a bala hargoy, however you want to understand the pshat, and therefore he becomes, says the Rambam, kiroidev, and pay attention to that chaf hadimyan, because he doesn't say it in Hilchos Rutzeach. This is always only in Hilchos Geneva. So he becomes kirodev, and since he becomes kirodev, I'm allowed to kill him. Now here's my problem. It seems like two examples of when you're allowed to kill somebody in self-defense. One if he's a rodef, and one if he's bava machteres, and maybe it's the same thing. It's karehu karodef, but it's not the same thing. How do I know it's not the same thing? Because they have different halachas. For instance, by a bava machteres, the Rambam goes on to say mefurish, that if somebody's bava machteres, there's no chiyuv to kill him. It's not a chiyuv to kill him. You're allowed to kill him. It's rishus. Rishus v'lo chiyuv, the Rambam's lashon. It's rishus v'lo chiyuv. Mashen came by a rodef, you're over on two lavim and an essay, it's a chiyuv deraisa to kill a rodef. So if it's harehu karodef, so why isn't it a mitzvah or a chiyuv to kill him? That's an important question. So there's a difference between a rodef and a bava machteres. Even though the Rambam says harehu karodef, so then why does it have different halachas? The other thing that's about...
Right, if there's someone, his intent from the very beginning is to kill. About Machteres, the intent is not to kill, the intent is to steal.
It just escalates.
The situation evolved into a case of, he's gonna, if I don't kill him, he's gonna testify against me in court, so I'm gonna kill him.
Right, so it's a different case.
It's different, yeah.
It's a different case. So even though either Rambam says Areu Karoidev, Rambam says Areu Karoidev.
I thought you said in the Rambam in Mutzech, it's lahatsil et nirdav al yidei rodef. So it sounds like the main goal here is just to save the nirdav.
Very good.
Even if you can save him through damaging him or preventing him, so there's no obligation to kill the rodef.
Which is to me our nechutza, very, very, very important, because the Rambam says if you see a rodef here, I'll read you the lesson here. If somebody's a rodef, first thing is there is a chiyuv as opposed to a rishus. That's the first thing. But what's your chiyuv? As you say, what is your chiyuv? Says the Rambam like this: Im yicholim lahatziloi. Let's say you can save the nirdaf. This is a real thing. In other words, the guy's running after somebody with a gun, and you can save the nirdaf or yourself. You can save yourself. Be'ever. Mivrei haroidev. You can knock out his, shoot him in the arm or in the foot. Kigoin shiyaku, I say, the Rambam gets very graphic here. Kigoin shiyaku, I say, b'chetz, you shoot him with an arrow, o be'even, or you throw a rock at him, o b'sayaf, or with your sword, v'yiktu es yadai, let's say you cut off his hand, or you shabru es raglov, or you break his leg, or you samu es einov, or you blind him. It's a good list. You want to be really good? Whole list over here of how to stop somebody from trying to kill somebody. You got to make it like, okay, like I could shoot him with a leg, I could blind him, I can this, I can that, I can tear. What should you do? Oisen, that's what you have to do. One of those things. Don't kill the guy. Don't kill the guy. But if you can't, I don't know what l'chavein here means, maybe aim. Unless you kill him, even though he didn't kill anybody, he's not chayiv misa per se, but that's your self-defense, you're allowed to kill him. So here, the Rambam is very, very clear on the halacha that the killing is your last option. The idea here is stopping the guy. That's the point. Haloiza tema, that by a baba machteres, you're allowed to just kill him. It doesn't say anywhere that I know of. That first try to blind him or take out his legs or do something. No, just kill him. So how can we can design? I'm just asking you for a svar. It's like Ibcham Estaver, right? Isn't it? How could it be that by a rodef who's mamish coming to you to kill you, that's his clear intention, He's even saying, I'm going to kill you, and he's running after him to kill you. So, okay, you got to be careful. You're allowed to stop the guy. Ad kedei hariga, if you need to, and if not, you go to Beis Din, and Beis Din paskins that you're a rotzeach. Very complicated murkav halacha in today's world. Very, very complicated halacha. So that's by a rodef. But if he's above a machteres, so then you can just kill him. I was reading that there's a thing called in Israel, if I think I have it right, called the Shama, Chok Shama. So Chok Shama is a chok where, I think it's called, where there was a guy, Shama, that was his name. Shama, what? That's a different chok. That's almost the same thing. I was looking at what the Israeli law is, but Chok Shama was a guy who somebody came into his house and he killed him. And the judge said, "What you kill him for?" So he said, says in the Torah, Haba'ah machteres, you're allowed to kill him. And the judge apparently accepted the ruling. You're allowed to kill him, and he was patur. Okay. Torah says Haba'ah machteres. Mitzad just while I was looking into this, just to bring to your attention, there is this other chok in Israeli law from which was nischadish by what's his name, the General Eisenkot, where he said that I don't want to see some teenage girl coming into a pizza shop with scissors and some soldier unloading a magazine on her, killing her. That's what he said, and it was accepted by the Knesset, this halacha. To which Rav Yosef, chief rabbi, Rav Yosef, the current chief rabbi, at the beginning, he said that mapitom, she above machteres, kill her, unload the whole gun on her. V'lo lefachid. So you have these interesting. There's basically like a little bit of a difference between. I'm not going to be fallible in Israeli law. I'm not an Israeli lawyer, Baruch Hashem. But it's interesting these different chukim, which almost seem contradictory. But let me just summarize the question. The question very clearly is that you definitely can't put, that we tend to put Rodef and Bava Machteres in the same club, Bava Machteres, Hashkem v'Hargoi, and they're really very different halacha, because by the Rodef, the Iker Vart is to stop them. And Ad Kedei Hariga, Masha'en Kain by Haba'ah Machteres, the Torah's case of Geneva, which you would think the other way around. So you're allowed to kill them with no questions asked. So why would this be? So you wanted to say why this is? Yeah.
First person, it's coming on me. It's coming to me. What's my opinion of this person? Rotate, usually the smash, third person.
So you mean because he trespassed, you're allowed to kill him?
Don't we say he's coming and trespassing on my property? Baba Mater also shows a certain amount of intention. He's coming on me, so my idea is to kill him. Ain't no dummin'. It's a direct thing. Rotate, see someone running down the street.
Coming to kill me?
Third party.
I'm the third party.
Not necessarily.
Not
Not necessarily.
Don't we say about the Mater to need clarity that he's if it's your father?
So here's a machlekes in the Gemara that I was kind of like hesitating to mention just because of time, but you said it, so we'll say it. There's two brises. The next pasuk is Imzarcha Hashem Shalav Damim Lai. If Imzarcha Hashem, so the Gemara asks, if the sun is shining on him, then he does have damim. We just said Ein Loi Damim. All of a sudden he does have damim. So the Gemara asks, Zarcha Lav Hashem Shalav Zarach, and on you it's not Zarach. Like what is Zarcha Lav Hashem? So the Gemara comes up with this idea of Borer Kechama. What the Zarcha Lav Hashem means, it's got to be absolutely clear. What has to be absolutely clear? So two brises, one after the other, in Sanhedrin, Ayin Beis, Amid Beis. One way of looking at it, this pasuk is, has to be absolutely clear that this guy wants to kill you. Otherwise, you're not allowed to kill him. Is that what you just said? Yeah. Or the Gemara says, Tanya Idach, that of course you should kill him under all circumstances, unless it's absolutely clear that he doesn't want to kill you. Ka'avu banu. A big difference in the two brises. Without a clear psak, by the way. There's no Sif and Shulchan Aruch which paskins to these two brises. But that's the so you, in other words, one more time. You have to have clarity that he's not going to kill you, otherwise you go ahead and kill him, or do you have to have clarity that he is going to kill you unless you have clarity that he's not, yeah? So that's a very important machlokes. So God forbid somebody's in a situation, you got to start thinking, two brises, no Rambam, so unclear, and
Haba'ah Machtaris, I saw someone else tunneling into someone else's property. What would be the din? They would din of Haba'ah Machtaris, they would din of Rodef, or not.
so that's a machlokes in Rishonim, but the pashut pshat is that no, only the balabais is allowed to kill him. So there's another difference in the halachas. So there's big differences in the halachas, which I'm not even sure how to clear to lumda. I saw something very interesting, by the way, that in Tanakh and Shmuel. So yeah, you know that Shaul was running after David Amalek to kill him, and then, without getting into the whole Tanakh shir, but then David Amalek found Shaul in a cave, and could have killed him, and he didn't kill him. Instead, he cut off his piece of his clothing, and he said afterwards to Shaul, either he said or through an agent, he said, "I could have killed you, and I didn't kill you." Okay, so Chazal or Matmei, why didn't you kill him? Hooray, he's a Rodef. So what? So that's what David HaMelech was saying. I want to show you how loyal I am to you. Okay, but if somebody's Rodef after you, even if he's a king. Oh, you're a king? Yeah. Like, I don't have to kill you. If somebody's Rodef after you kill you, you kill him. So the Gemara has a tema. Like, why didn't David kill Shaul? Not only a tema, but almost like a taina on him. Why didn't you kill him?
Maybe the halacha.
Doesn't the king have
If the king is within his rights to kill.
what?
Since, so that's what he's saying. So in other words, since Shaul was allowed to kill David, so he's not a Rodef.
No, someone's being hard about that thing, and the person wants to put it to death. They're not worried.
No. Well, no, you're right, they're not Rodfim. But Gemara says an interesting thing, like, if Zimri would have turned around and killed Pinchas, that would have been okay, because Pinchas was a Rodef. Also, if this Ganav comes in and the guy and shoots the balabayas, so it could be that he's a nirdaf. So you have here a war of concepts, because the balabayas is working on the Rambam and Hilchos Geneva, and the Ganav is working on the Rambam and Hilchos Ritzicha. So you have like a contradiction in concepts. But here's what the Mefarshei Tanakh say. Is something interesting that Shaul, he was sleeping. He wasn't an active shooter. So he wasn't a Rodef. In concept, he was a Rodef, but he wasn't really a Rodef. So what was he? Why does the Gemara say, why don't you kill him? He was a Baba Machteres. Meaning the din of Habalo Hargacha, Hashkem V'Hargai, that could have applied to him. Okay, that's the teretz. So once you're dealing with the din of Habalo Hargacha, Hashkem V'Hargai, it's a Rishus V'Lei Chayva. So David HaMelech made a choice to have Kavod HaMalchus or whatever he wanted to do, but whatever the pshat in David HaMelech was, he says before, I think, because you were acting in a tznius way. He compliments Shaul, but whatever it is, he has rishus. Whereas if he would have been an active shooter, there would have been a chiyuv. In other words, if Shaul was running after him, it would have been a chiyuv to kill Shaul. But so if he's sleeping, so here you have another interesting thing. How you can be, go from a Rodef to a Baba Machteres, to that halacha Baba Machteres, and your whole status changes. And on the one hand, so David HaMelech as a Baba Machteres, it's Rishus V'Lei Chayva. On the other hand, if he would have killed him, according to this, okay, putting aside the Melech issue, okay, but you could choose not to kill him. And if he would have been an active Rodef, he wouldn't have been allowed to kill him, because just shoot off his hand or something. Yeah. Does it? What's the pasuk? Oh, yeah, and stuff. Like torturing him. I just let me. There's a lot of nakudas here that we'll get to. I don't know if we'll get to anywhere, but let me just tell you a few nakudas here. Yeah.
So why do we assume that the halachos of Milchama don't apply? Meaning, it says that he's Rodef. So look over there and see if you're able to stop him in other ways, and stop him in other ways. I mean, why he didn't have the Rambam didn't have to list all the things again.
What are you asking me? Why does the Rambam make a list?
No, in Hilchos Geneva, they're saying that you just killed him. Maybe they're saying that there in Geneva it says he's Rodef.
Doesn't say anywhere. So that's it doesn't say anywhere that you have to first try to blind him or first try to cut off his hand. It just doesn't say. You'd have to bring me a proof. The Rambam is very clear. He doesn't make this whole list that he says in Hilchos Rotzeach. He doesn't say in Hilchos Geneva. I can't tell you anything else. Rabbi Chanan asked the question. Rabbi Chanan Wasser asked the question. What are you having a gun battle here? Just give him the menorah. Like Pashtus is Hamaman Hubah. Like, what do you want? I'm standing behind my bulletproof mamad door. Like, what do you want? He says, I just want your menorah. So give him the darn menorah. Like, what are you getting into a whole battle over here for? So it's so Rabbi Chanan answers as an udin. I mean, it's like a brisker answer, which is not really. It's like from here we learn that even if you could get out of it by giving him the money, you're still allowed to kill him. There's a din, you're allowed to kill him. Why? It's a Rashi, come back to our Rashi, because it's not Ritzicha. It's not Ritzicha. He's already like a Gavra Katila, and it's not Ritzicha. So that's the Svara that you have to learn with. I want to just throw out something else here. The din of a Rodef. So one of the places where you find one of the most sort of well-known cases of a Rodef is when a woman is pregnant with a baby, that, God forbid, that if you let this baby exist, so the mother goes into a life-threatening situation. Be'enai ra'isi many, many times. The doctors say it's a dangerous situation. Have to abort the baby. They're right, they're wrong, who knows? But Rav Asher Weiss knows. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but the halacha is clearly that the baby becomes a rodef and the mother becomes a nirdaf. So abortion, which the Gemara talks rodef nirdaf, even though the baby's not even born, should be eliminated in this case to save the mother. It's a din of rodef and nirdaf. You try not to do it, as always is the case with the rodef and nirdaf. But at the end, the baby's a rodef and the mother is a nirdaf. So here you see like a different halacha in rodef, that this baby has no intentions at all. Baby, not even a baby. It has no intentions at all. I mean, there's no. It's not like this child wants to kill his mother. Nobody asked me to. Nobody asked me before I got into this uteral situation. But nevertheless, the baby's called a rodef. So you see here another halacha that you can be a rodef without any intention at all. All right? Yeah.
Just to love this to this Akira yourself from Rodef versus the Nirdaf versus the Baba Teres. That maybe Baba Teres is Hutra by the Rodef.
Why? But why?
No, it's a Chiddush Torah.
That's the Chiddush.
That's good. In Rodef, it's Chiddush Torah. That's Hutra, not Chiddush.
Or in the words of Rashi, Ein Ze Ritzicha.
That's Hutra. It's not Ritzicha.
Ein Ze Ritzicha. It's not. No, Ein Ze Ritzicha is the reason why it's Hutra. It's not the other way. So Ein Ze Ritzicha. So what am I doing? It's just target practice. I'm not killing a person, which is harsh. It's a harsh halacha, but that's the halacha about Baba Machteres. So yeah.
The difference being that the Rodef, he's actively trying to kill the person. So you just have, if there's another way to stop him, so you stop him another way. The Baba Machteres, he's not actively trying to kill a person, and he might turn into a Rodef, and then so you don't know what he's going to do.
So why are you allowed to kill him?
Because it's like a suffix to Kuach Nefesh almost, meaning like someone walking down the street with a knife.
More than a rodef?
Yeah, because someone's walking down the street with a knife trying to stab someone, and you know that you can shoot him in the leg and stop him.
Okay.
So you shoot him in the leg. Someone coming to Machteres to steal a menorah, you don't know what he's going to do. You have no idea. It could be something. He might have a bomb. He might explode himself, so kill him. Suffolk Pikuach Nefesh, kill him before anything. You don't see.
If you could disarm the guy who's Baba Machteres, do you have to? You could disarm him,
You don't know.
make him unconscious.
He's coming to steal the menorah. You don't know what he has. You don't know anything.
Because you're thinking about bomb belts and things like that. But I mean, I'm saying the Pasha Pshat is that.
If you don't see the threat in front of you, you can't.
I hear it.
You can't minimize the elimination. Only when you see the threat, you can see what.
I have to say, like, people keep telling me this svara. I hear you, but I'm not hearing the svara clearly. Huh? I'm not hearing the svara clearly why a Baba Machtera should be more Mekel and Hilchos Ritzicha, more of a Hutra than a Rodef, unless you say what Rashi says, which the Gemara says. No. So listen to what Chazal tell us. The reason is not because of that. The reason is because Ein Zo Ritzicha. It's Hutra, as you say. The reason is because somebody who comes into, you tunnel into somebody else's property, Kal V'chomer, or somebody else's country. I think that's a Kal V'chomer. So if you tunnel in, you're obviously expecting to die. I would imagine like terrorists are expecting to die. In fact, they're probably praying to die. But I can't know that for sure. But probably that's what they say. So if they're praying to die, so therefore what? Somebody's praying to die. You're not allowed to shoot them. But somebody who's praying to die in this kind of a case, you're not killing a person who's alive. It's a politica halacha. Let me say one thing because I'm just out of time. Like the Meiri says something wonderful in the Gemara. Like her, the different. That's why I remember I said at the beginning that Rashi's changing the Gemara a little bit. Rashi's Rashi. Maybe there's a machlokes rishonim here. The Gemara says that Haba'ah Machteres, the Gemara in 709 base. We all know the Gemara. It's a Mishnah. The Mishnah says Haba'ah Machteres. So Harganoi Se'al Shem Soifai. The Mishnah puts it together right after the din of Ben Saramar. It's in Parak Ben Saramar, Parak Shmini of Sanhedrin. It's in Parak Ben Saramar. So the Gemara is talking about Ben Saramar, and this guy also Harganoi Se'al Shem Soifai, which is really what Menachem is saying the whole time. At the end, he's going to come to kill me, and I'm allowed to kill him. That's the way you're understanding it. So the Gemara goes on, Rava, this whole pilpul, psychological pilpul. Well, he comes in and he knows that I'm going to kill him. So if I see him, I'm going to kill him. So Mamela is taking his life in his own hands, and therefore he's a Gavra Katila, and therefore he didn't even kill me, but I'm allowed to kill him back because he's already decided to die. He's a terrorist, right? He's already decided to die. And v'hatoira amra, this is the lesson of the Gemara. V'hatoira amra, and the Torah says, Haba'ah hargacha hashkem b'hargai. Now, this is the difference that I'm making here, right? My last point. Rashi says, not a Torah amra. Rashi says, ein loy damim kan limdatcha Torah im ba'ah hargacha hashkem b'hargai. This is where you learn it from. Right here from above in Machteres. The Meiri says, that's not what the Gemara says. The Gemara says that there's a case of Baba Machteres, and now what should the guy do? V'hatoira amra haba'ah hargacha hashkem b'hargai. So the Meiri says that's not here. Whatever, if we were learning it from here, he's making it to you in the Lashon of the Gemara. If we were learning from here, it would just say v'haba'ah hargacha. It wouldn't have said hatoira amra. Hatoira amra, the Meiri learns. You know how to learn. Hatoira amra means that and elsewhere the Torah says that if somebody's bala hargacha hashkem b'hargai, there's no such pasuk of a bala hargacha hashkem b'hargai. Like so, why asks the Meiri a question right there in Sanhedrin base? Asks the Meiri a question that what do you mean v'hatoira amra bala hargacha hashkem b'hargai? That's why Rashi changed almost the gears of the Gemara. Where does it even say this? So says the Meiri. Surprise! Oh, that it says by Midyan. The Meiri says. Where does the Torah say? So you go all the way to Parsha to Sefer Bamidbar, and in Sefer Bamidbar, Hashem says, "Tzroras hamidyanim," enemize. Is that a word? The midyanim. Kitzayru remain lachem. So here you see this kind of tit for tat, or they're out to get you. So therefore, hashkem b'hargai. So according to the Meiri, what the Gemara is doing is in trying to explain in Bachteres Yavai Haganov, it's pulling on a war of Midian, and there by the war of Midian, we have a classic case that, you can't kill everybody in Midian. There's girls that are not bulas. Well, there's halachos about it in the Torah, but basically they are your enemy. Midian is your enemy. Where was Midian? Jordan or something like that, right? They are your enemy, and therefore that's what sror means. And the Targum says v'hika oisam. V'hika oisam. So the whole din of Haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'harga, says the Miri, is a halacha in Milchama. Like, wow, you get the chiddush here. The whole thing is a halacha in Milchama of Midian. So the whole thing is a halacha in Milchama in Midian. So it has to now go, like what Milchama has, as we've talked about for a few weeks. Milchama has a whole different set of halachas. And so the din of Haba'ah Machteres comes out, is a din in Milchama. The din in Rodef is not a din in Milchama. That's a din in an individual. Hence, you could have a halacha, and this is the issue that I want to try to explain today, that you could have a halacha of Haba'ah Machteres, which is a word war. We're at war with Midian. And when you're at war with Midian, and why are we at war? Because that's also a Ben Saramar. They're going to end up killing you. Midian, this was before we came into Israel, right? They are going to try to annihilate the Jewish people. They don't like us. So therefore, it's Sarim Haim Lachem. So therefore, it's Shroris Hamidyanim, and that's the din of Haba'ah Hargacha Hashkem V'Harga. That's what the Meiri says, and that's really what the Gemara says. That's what the Gemara says. That's the din. The different halacha, and they're like nobody's asking any questions by Midian. Did you have to kill him? Did you not have to kill him? Could you have just disarmed him or shot off his legs? So mitzad echad, reshus v'leichayv. You're not obligated, apparently. This is the Rambam says. You're not obligated to kill everybody because they're a Hamasnik, let's say, or a Midianite. Not obligated to, but if you do, nobody's allowed to ask any questions.
So in other words, collateral damage is mutter.
Is mutter, but not chayav. So Rodef has, why? Because they're Gavra Katila. Mashen Kain, a Rodef is chayav, not a rishus, chayav v'loy rishus, but it's b'diavad. It's b'diavad. So din Rodef would be, it seems to me, if God forbid you encounter somebody in the street, so that's probably more of a din Rodef. And once you go to that's like you have to know what Machteres is. But once you get into like a kind of a, I'm just saying my svar, once you talk about a military situation, let me end with this question. In times of the Torah, you see a Midianite walking down the street, going shopping. So it's sure as Hamidyan. You allowed to take him out? Let's say he's Amalek. Oh, it's a different story? Okay. Amalek's a different story. I believe this is Amalek. But if you see a Midianite, you allowed to take him out? No. Not allowed to. You're not allowed to. I'd be very surprised if you're allowed to. We're talking about a case of Baba Machteres. We're talking about a case of military. There's a Tzivoy Hashem that these people are, the enemies don't have Rachamim on them. Because Rachamim is going to end up being Achzoris on your own children. Don't know if you can extend that in any way, like, passport please, Midian. I don't think that's a Jewish response. It's very difficult. It's very complicated to be Jewish, but I guess the yesod of Milchama here, first of all, it's all self-defense and pikuach nefesh. The Rambam says this is all pikuach nefesh. Collateral damage, shvar samidyanim kitzarim em lachem haba'ah hargacha hashkem v'hargacha. So there's this rishus. It's not like a rodef. And I think that in let's say what I know of the Tzahal, they treat it more like a rodef. That lachatchila don't. They even make people liable for doing their, I don't know now, but in general, historically that they've done. So it's more like a rodef, like do what you have to do, but don't do more than you have to do. But really, it might be abalam b'machteres, you don't have to think so much. But on the other hand, it's a rishus v'lei chayva. I leave you with all this complicated stuff. I'm sorry. And are all civilians, yeah. That's what I mean. Or buildings or anything. Anything which is not.
Let's say the innocent Gazan citizens, those are why do they fit in?
Collateral. That's civilian death.
So why does that fit in that? They don't have a Hamas part. They don't.
They all voted for.
They were forced to. I'm just playing them.
How do you know? The UN is very proud of the legitimate vote. To Hamas.
They all have Hamas parts.
So that's who it is. So that's a fact. Would they all kill me in my sleep? Hope